Hey, want to welcome on to the show Ari Wasserman, On3 personality. He and Andy Staples are live on the On3 YouTube channel Monday through Thursday at 9:30 Eastern Time. You can go ahead and check that out. Great content during this college football season every single day, and there's a lot to talk about. Ari, you were in-house, the Palace on the Prairie, watching Tennessee and Oklahoma. Austin, you said you didn't know they called it that, and then since you said that, I've looked everywhere, and there's Palace references everywhere around Oklahoma.
I know, man, but like when I put in the Uber to where to go, and they give you like the Gaylord family, Memorial Stadium or whatever, you don't put in the Uber Palace on the Prairie. So then when you started talking about it, it just kind of got me tickled because.
Ari, what were your big takeaways there Saturday nights from Tennessee, Oklahoma? Obviously, a big win for Tennessee, unorthodox in some ways, but that defense still the story.
Yeah, I came into the game on high alert. Like I was drinking Tennessee Kool-Aid before the game. And I know that we made a lot of Josh Heupel's return and what this meant for him personally, and that seemed to be a lot of the story after the game. But the column that I wrote was that it was nice to see him go to his alma mater where he won a national title and get it done. But I think the reason why, he wasn't overly celebratory about like his, return or his vengeance or however you want to look at it is that this team has so much more potential than going out and beating an Oklahoma team on the road that might lose 4 or 5 games this year. I think that this team is a bona fide playoff team. I think this is a team that can win playoff games, and I legitimately think this is a team that could win the national title. So I don't know if that's what's going to happen. Obviously they still have to play Alabama and Georgia. We're going to get more context of what this team looks like when they're facing the monsters of the conference. But from a prediction standpoint, the thing that impressed me the most in the game, guys, was that they are able to beat you in different ways. 2 years ago, when it was Hendon Hooker and Jalen Hyatt, and they were throwing the ball downfield, like they got mauled. They got absolutely mauled by Georgia. This year, I think they can line up. They can run it with Dylan Sampson. They can throw it with Nico and their Brew McCoy and their great receivers. But they are versatile in their sets. They can line up 5 wide. They can put 2 tight ends on the field. Like, I really like the physicality of their defense. James Pierce is an animal. Like, can you tell that, like, I'm excited about this team? Like, I, like, legitimately think that they're not getting enough credit. I have them top 4 in my poll. I'm all in on the Volunteers so far this year.
How concerned are you when you look at Tennessee just from a standpoint of the tackle situation? Because the other night, they had to go into that shell the way they did because they just didn't feel like they could protect number 8, right? So, like,
yeah,
how worried are you? Like, because like against Arkansas, I'm not sure you can beat Arkansas without John Campbell and Lance Hurd, but to beat Alabama, to beat Georgia, those guys got to be back and playing.
Yeah, obviously, whenever you're missing offensive linemen, it's a problem. And actually, I think that Oklahoma, we might find out at the end of the year, has one of the nastiest defenses in the SEC. I thought their defense played incredible. And honestly, a lot of the story, and I probably still have to write about this a little bit, is I'm kind of dumbfounded by what's going on with their offense. And it kind of feels like it's like the opposite problem that they had when Lincoln Riley was there, where they have a really, really good defense and their offense can't really do anything. And benching their quarterback the way they did was kind of mind-blowing to me. Maybe I wasn't paying close enough attention going into it. But are those guys going to be returning this year? Help me out here. Like Lance Hurd's going to play again, right?
Oh, yeah, they'll both be back. It's just chronic knee with Campbell and then Hurd got an ankle.
Yeah, so obviously, you have to keep tabs on it, but hopefully they'll both be playing for their first huge test of the year. They play Georgia on November 16th, so I think they play Alabama first. So, Alabama's October 19th. If they're back, I don't think they're going to have any issues beating the 2 teams that are next on their schedule without them. I think that Florida and Arkansas, I think Arkansas is a little bit better than people think, but I think they're going to get wins in both of those, and we're going to be undefeated going into the Alabama game.
Ari, the talk about this team, obviously all off seasons, the offense and Nico and Heupel and all that, and it's still got potential to be really good. It's really good in certain areas, especially the run game right now. Defensively, we all thought that the defense would take a step and be better. I don't think that we expected it to be this dominant out of the gate. Now, recognizing that they had not played a really, really good offense yet. Oklahoma's offense clearly not good. NC State's offense, clearly not good. Then you had a couple cupcakes. So there's going to be some offenses on the schedule that's going to stress them for sure. But is this defense, you saw it in person, you saw how it starts up front with the defensive line and then carries back with the linebackers and DBs. Is this defense even better than you thought? And, I mean, it could be an absolute, I mean, it is, and it can continue to be an absolute strength for this football team, going down the season.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Oklahoma could not block them. You know what I mean? And Oklahoma doesn't have bad athletes on their team. They could not block them. So if your defensive line is going to disrupt games the way they did against Oklahoma all year, then it absolutely can be a strength of the team. And I'll go back to something that I said earlier in the show, guys, but like versatility and being able to win in multiple ways, like being able to run the football and then being able to control opposing offenses is a way to win. Like, I think that Tennessee could win a game 20-14 or 17-14, and I think they could win a game 51-49. You know what I mean? Like, those are going to be very important, attributes for this team moving forward, because, they always say styles make fights. And I don't know if the Tennessee team 2 years ago was able to operate in a game where its offense wasn't scoring on every possession or every other possession. I think this year they're able to operate in a game like that. When they play Georgia, I think that their defense will be able to handle Georgia's offense in a way that, holds them to 20, 24 points. But can they win a game 27-24 against that team this year? Absolutely. Their offensive ability to run the football will give their defense some time to get fresh. And their defense getting after the quarterbacks they're going to face is going to cause turnovers. Like Jackson Arnold had a turnover issue before this game, but it's no mistake that he turned the ball over 3 times in the first half because he had animals coming at him that he's never had coming at him already. Like, they are a very balanced team, I think. And the defensive line is something that you can fall in love with by watching this football team for a single quarter this year.
You mentioned going into last week that Tennessee was not far behind Georgia and Texas as national championship caliber teams, and you kind of referenced it, earlier in our conversation. After seeing Tennessee in person, maybe a week later, seeing Georgia and all that, how far off, in your estimation, at this point in the season, is Tennessee from those national title contenders in Texas and Georgia, or front runners, if you want to call them, Texas and Georgia?
The thing that I will say about teams like Texas, Georgia, Ohio State, when you look around the country, is that you can identify like 12 to 14 players potentially that are in the mix that will eventually be a first-round pick. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they have been signing top 5 classes year over year over year, and then accentuating their rosters with important portal additions. And Tennessee has recruited well, but they have not been recruiting at an elite status for that 4-year period. And last year, Michigan showed us that that's not necessarily a prerequisite to win a national title anymore. But when they face those teams, and they will they be able to match up with the pure talent top to bottom that those teams have? I don't know that Tennessee is there yet, but instead of it being from 1 to 85, maybe we look at it from 1 to 40, the guys who play, or 1 to 30, the guys who play. I think Tennessee can match up with them, player for player for the most part at those positions who are on the field. So, injuries were brought up on the show already. I think that they have to stay healthy. I don't know if they have the same type of depth that Georgia can have. Like Michael Williams doesn't play. They bring somebody else in. Their offensive line, Tate Ratledge, lineman's out. Will they bring someone else in that's played and is probably going to be in the NFL? Yeah, they will. Like, I don't know if Tennessee is at that point yet, but I don't know that there's any team on their schedule or any team in the country that they can't play a 4-quarter football game with.
If Tennessee was at Arkansas this coming weekend, I would tell you that that's absolutely a trap game. But they have the bye. So thus, you have a nice break. One, to get a couple of guys healthy, like Hurd and John Campbell. But 2, just to kind of reset after the first third of the season, and then kind of do a reboot here heading into Arkansas. What do you think about that game coming up, a week from Saturday?
Well, I think that the health thing and the body blow thing is important. Like, you go play a big game, you're sore, you're tired, getting that week off is important. But I also think that this bye week couldn't have come at a more perfect time for Tennessee, because I also think there's an emotional come down from that. Like, yeah. You guys know Josh Heupel better than me, but like watching him get emotional in the post game locker room like that. Like, he doesn't strike me as somebody who gets emotional very often,
Agreed.
And the thing that I really like to see about Tennessee, and I'm not Mr. Disney movie, everybody love everybody all the time guy, but I get the sense that these guys love each other. You know what I mean? And they love their coach. And I wrote a column on Saturday night from the Oklahoma game in the press box about how Hugh Freeze threw his team under the bus. Like, as I'm writing this column, I'm like watching Tennessee like say "I love you, coach" to them, or to Heupel in the locker room, and it's like, man, these guys are like, they wanted this for him. You know what I mean? I think there's something with teams that actually reach their potential and get where they're going. There is something to playing for your brothers and loving your coach and feeling like you're together in something together. So that's a long way of saying I think it's probably pretty good that they're not playing another game on Saturday. They can get this emotion out of their system. They can reset, feel good about where they're at, and then attack the following week. Not that they won't practice and try hard this week, but the following week get back into that game mentality, get ready to go to Arkansas, because Arkansas is a lot better than people think. I cannot believe that they were underdogs against Auburn this past weekend. Vegas was handing out free money this weekend, and now they're playing A&M on a neutral site. I think they're going to get Arkansas at a pretty good point in their schedule too.
Last thing I got right here, and I know this is more of an off-season question, but a third of the way through the season, seeing everything that he's done so far, then through these 4 games, and seeing where Tennessee is as a program amongst the college football powers, if you're an AD and you could hire anybody in the country to come coach your football team, how many guys are you calling before you call Josh Heupel?
It is an interesting question to hear right now, because you are also asking at a time in which the two most interesting and respected personalities in the sport are no longer in it, like Nick Saban and Jim Harbaugh. Say what you want about Jim Harbaugh and how weird he is. We all know he's weird, but like, he won a national title at Michigan. I don't know that list is very long, Eric. I haven't thought that through in the sense of like, I could give you a blanket number, but like, I don't know. I mean, you guys help me out here. Who's somebody that's an automatic? I mean, I think Kirby Smart's an automatic. You call him first. Lincoln Riley isn't who we thought he was when he left Oklahoma right now, and he's got a lot to prove at USC. Ryan Day's lost to his rival 3 years in a row. I don't know who the layup answer to that question is.
Sark,
and Josh Heupel,
maybe in that conversation.
Sark built Texas back up. I think that's probably a pretty good one. But also has won 10 games once in his entire career, and still has a season right now where there's a ton of expectations, and they have to go meet them. Texas is a different place now under his leadership, though, so I probably would call him first. But if you're looking for a round number, maybe 4. If I could, actually have an hour to think about this, I think it might be 4. But Josh Heupel too. I'm excited, and I get excited. I'm very reactive. That's a personality flaw for me, and I'm working on it.
And just 3.5 years ago, when we dropped his name out there as the trending candidate, everybody lost their collective minds, because he was known as a guy who couldn't recruit, and the narrative was the team at UCF was trending away from where they were under Scott Frost, and here Frost is out of college coaching and getting coffee in the NFL, and Josh has found his niche here, with the people here, and has done a fantastic job putting good staff members around him.
Yeah, and it's also a cautionary tale too, guys, of just like how hard it is to actually hire somebody. Like, you have guys who are hiring big names that are slam dunks that everybody just assumes are going to be great, and then they aren't good at all, and then you have guys who are hired, Florida's going to find this out right here, probably here in the next few months, right? Like, there's no slam dunk obvious hire for Florida to go after, right? I mean, I don't know who that guy is. And, even when USC and LSU hired coaches 3 years ago, there were no obvious candidates there for like, here's the guy you go pay a bunch of money to. They had to go out and get people that we wouldn't have thought would have left the places they were already at. So it is about fit. It's about culture. It's about all these things. And the one thing I will say is, for my personality trait, there's a long season ahead. Like, Josh has a long runway here of games that he has to go win, and I still think they could lose to Alabama and Georgia and make the playoff and make a run. I hope for your sake and people who love Tennessee that doesn't happen, and I would like to see a national championship contender at least go 1-1 in those games. But like Josh Heupel too has a really special team here, and I would like to see, before we get into is he a top 5 coach in America, like him use the talent that he has on his roster to go win something.
Yeah, and with respect to the team right now, I mean, you're seeing how good they are, and you're seeing, you know, how dominant at times they are on both sides of the football. And I think everybody as well, if you watch this team, recognizes, man, this team can be so much better.
They didn't play well on Saturday. Did you think they played well? I thought they didn't play particularly well, and they still were never in a position to lose.
Yeah,
I think that's even more impressive.
I didn't think they blocked well. Specifically at the tackles,
which goes back to the offensive line.
Yeah. But at the same time, too, being able to be in a position where you go to Oklahoma, and probably, you know, Oklahoma's got its flaws, but it's certainly probably a top 25 team, and go out on the road in an emotional environment where people, first SEC game for Oklahoma, you guys, you were there, you know what it was about. Yeah. But to not sweat when you're not playing well, like, is almost even more impressive than kicking someone's ass, because when things are going well, it's great. But when things aren't going perfectly and you still are the superior team, that is, again, the sign of being able to win a game in a way that maybe, you know, they weren't prepared to or able to do 2 years ago.
Ari, great stuff, man. Again, you can catch Ari on Andy and Ari Monday through Thursday, 9:30 Eastern Time on the On3 YouTube channel. They go live late nights on Saturday after games as well when they can. Appreciate you, man. We'll have you back on the show, and we'll see what's in store for the rest of college football season.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on, and I have pretty high hopes for this team, and it's going to be really exciting to watch. I hope you guys get to watch some football and have some beers this weekend when you're not covering a game, and get to, you know, kind of relax a little bit. Thanks for having me on, and it was a pleasure. Hope to do it again soon.
Appreciate it, Ari.